So I had to see if the Squier Classic Vibe Telecaster was really as good as everyone says it is. Hey everyone, I'm Jack Fossett. Welcome to the channel and this review of the Squier Classic Vibe Telecaster. I'm really excited to be able to bring this review to you. I managed to trade for this guitar recently, and it's one I've kind of had my eye out for a while, because not only have I gotten more than a few requests to review this guitar, but I'm also just a Telecaster fan, and this one kind of keeps popping up in comments and all over the place. People who play these guitars absolutely love them. Now, I had limited experience with the Telecaster. I played the Classic Vibe Telecaster in stores before and found them pretty impressive, but there's really only so much you can tell in a store. And many of you also know that I owned a Squier Classic Vibe Stratocaster, the 50 style one, which was a solid guitar. Definitely, as I like to say, punched above its weight, but nothing to really freak out about. I thought it was a good guitar, better than what it cost, and that was kind of about it. The Classic Vibe Telecaster, though, it in itself kind of has its own unique following. Now, this is made of pine, and it's got kind of all the right look and feel and playability and features of a classic Telecaster. It's got the 3-saddle bridge. It's got the Alnico pickups. Now, they're Fender-designed Alnico pickups. That's pretty much how they're described, the Squier Classic Vibe series. It has a C-shaped neck, again, pine body, and it's got the black guard. It's really got this kind of like nice classic look to it. Now, the one that I have, which I traded for it, so it's used, it's a little heavier than I expected. The one that I played before, I remember being extremely light with a pine body. This one's slightly heavier, which threw me off. Obviously is some variance to the weight. That being said, it does resonate beautifully, and the pickups actually sound quite good. In fact, when I traded for it, it had an upgraded set of pickups in, but the person I traded with included the original set of Squier pickups, which I put back in for all you guys. I actually took out better pickups and put in the stock pickups just for you guys. Now that I've said the better pickups, these Squier pickups are really good. They actually sound very... In fact, I think the Squier Classic Vibe Telecaster pickups are eons better than the Stratocaster pickups. The Stratocaster pickups were, again, they were fine. They were pretty good. You could get some decent tones out of them. A little rough around the edges, tonally speaking. I think the tone of this guitar is probably one of the best-selling features. The bridge has the right amount of fatness and twang without being too piercing. The only qualm I had was I thought the neck pickup was a little darker than I'd like. And that brings me to an important point that I want you to all think about, and kind of how do you make sense of this review that I'm giving you. Here's the important thing to remember. I'm viewing this through a lens of everyone says they love this guitar better than custom shop guitars and all that. Everyone says that they absolutely love this guitar, that this is the one that they reach for above all else. So I am holding it up to a high standard, to a higher standard than maybe is even fair considering what its price range is. So we'll talk about that in a minute. The things that I didn't like about this guitar. First of all, they could probably use an upgrade in wiring. I thought that the tuners were pretty flimsy. They're holding tune okay, but they just feel really weak and flimsy and cheap. And if this was a guitar I was going to be playing out, gigging, or on the road with, I would want to change the tuners before going because I don't really trust them. Even though they're holding tune, relatively okay, they just feel cheap. That's not necessarily a huge deal, and if you know what you're doing changing it, you can upgrade those parts pretty easily and get a much nicer guitar and still not be spending anywhere near what the next level is, which would be the Vintera, which is really expensive. Here was the one problem that I had with this one, and I want to mention up front, this is probably a quality control thing. This one has really, really rough frets. The fret edges are pretty sharp and had that little tiny bit of space in them such that actually, with a string kind of pulled off the side, it got stuck in it. That's not really good. It's not necessarily a deal breaker. It's not like you're cutting your hand when I was playing it or anything like that, but they were uncomfortable and pretty rough cut fret edges. Fender's quality control, in my experience, has started to decline. It's not what it was in the past decade. For a long while, Fender was kind of like the pinnacle big company when it came to quality control. Pretty much, with a few exceptions, the majority of what they were putting out was really good stuff. I have started to see more and more quality controls over the last couple years coming out of Fender. It's not that the guitar is junk or anything, it's just that, when you're talking about fixing fret problems, now you're talking serious problems. If you're somebody who can't do frets on your own, you're talking a very expensive repair, probably cheaper to just replace the neck entirely. So that's kind of my spiel with the guitar, the good, the bad, the pretty, the ugly. I don't know. I suppose that's entirely based on your taste. As far as whether or not this guitar is like the only Telecaster you need, it's the greatest Telecaster, it's the one that you reach for over all your other guitars, or whether or not it's really overrated and people need to tone it down, I definitely think these guitars are better than their price point. This is coming in at around $429 right now, I believe, and this plays and sounds as good as plenty of guitars that are out there in probably the $600 to $800 range, maybe even a little bit more. And I understand the allure of a less expensive guitar to reach for. I actually have an SG Custom. I don't really play that much, and part of it is it's almost intimidating, right? It's almost like I don't, it's too nice. I almost don't want to play it. It's not one that I feel as comfortable just kind of picking up and playing because it's sparkly and it's bright and it's beautiful and it's like a work of art and everything. And as guitar players, there is that allure of just kind of grabbing the cozy guitar, the guitar that you're not worried about getting a little bit of a ding in, the guitar that plays comfortably and just sounds good and it's something you can kind of sink into. I get that allure, and I think that's one of the big allures of these guitars. That doesn't necessarily, though, mean it's better than a guitar that's crazy more. And I'm not saying this from an elitist standpoint, because honestly, I think many people could get this guitar, play with it in professional settings, and it could absolutely rock. But when you look at the objective measures of what makes a guitar what it is, and I've done a whole video on this, I actually have an old Fender Classic Series Telecaster, and I have owned a Vintera Telecaster also, and I have an American Original Telecaster. And as far as objective quality of guitars, both of those are a step up from the Squier. The trouble for most people when it comes to purchasing is they're not as much better as the price difference is. Going back to the point of this guitar, yeah, it's a great guitar. It punches above its weight. It might need a few little upgrades here and there, but it's definitely a guitar I think worth checking out. And it's something that you could get, enjoy, feel proud to have, not worry about people poo-pooing Squier or anything like that. But as you listen to this, it sounds really good. I mean, if I do say so myself in this video, like, it sounds really good. And this one, I'm not playing into a crazy expensive rig either. I'm playing into my Supro Delta King 12, and I'm using a Wampler Moxie for the overdriven tones. I also had the Keeley Katana Boost on for the intro. It just sounds good. It's just a good guitar you can just get and absolutely rock out with without breaking the bank. Now, if you are someone who's looking for this guitar, this is where we get into the good stuff. If you want to buy this guitar, there's a link below where you can buy it. Now, if you shop through that link, that will provide some commission to me, which supports the channel at no additional cost to you. Great way for you to get cool gear and help me keep doing what I'm doing. If you want to find other ways to support the channel, further down you'll find a link to my webpage where there's a gear recommendations tab that has all kinds of affiliate links in there. It's the same sort of deal. You'll also find my PayPal and my Venmo, and if you leave me a tip of $7 or more, I'm going to give you access to a website where you can get all of my downloads, past, present, and future. Anything I upload in the future is going to be available to you on that website, including jam tracks like the jam track you heard at the beginning of this video. That's an original song called Minty. You can also check out that song. And now we're going to get to a full tonal profile of this guitar. I'm going to play neck, middle, and bridge, both clean and overdriven for you. Please let us know what you think. Are you a Classic Vibe owner? Is this one that you want to own? Do you own one of the other Classic Vibe models? I'm Jack Fossett. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.